Have you ever heard of someone who, despite facing the greatest adversities, decided to open their heart and home to a new life? This is the story of a widow with 6 children who found an abandoned baby and, despite facing significant financial difficulties, decided to adopt him. How did the life of this family transform after this brave decision? And what happened 20 years later when this widow sacrificed her dreams to raise her children? Get ready for an emotional story of love, sacrifice, and giving back. Discover how the adopted son, after achieving professional success, made a choice that changed everything for his adoptive mother. Were all her love and efforts rewarded? Stay with us and watch how this incredible journey unfolds, revealing the true essence of family love. But before we tell this story, please like this video and subscribe to our channel to always receive moving stories that will surprise you. It costs nothing and helps the channel a lot. Now, let's move on to the story of a mother who, with her unconditional love, transformed the destiny of her family. It was a cold winter morning when Maria, the dedicated widow who struggled day after day to support her 6 children, went out to gather firewood. The fields were covered with a thin layer of frost, and the biting air made each breath form small clouds of vapor. As she walked along the usual trail, Maria heard a faint, almost imperceptible sound that seemed like distant crying. Curious and concerned, she decided to follow the sound. Approaching an old abandoned barn, the crying became clearer. Maria opened the creaking wooden door and her heart nearly stopped when she found a small basket tucked in a dark corner. Inside the basket, wrapped in tattered blankets, was a baby, with a face flushed from the cold and eyes full of tears. Without hesitating, Maria picked up the child, feeling the small, fragile body shivering from cold and fear. As she walked back home with the baby snuggled against her chest, Maria reflected on what she should do. It was already difficult to feed and clothe her 6 children with the little she earned doing odd jobs in town. However, looking into that innocent, helpless face, she knew she could not abandon him. There was an inexplicable force in that moment, something that told her this baby needed her as much as she needed him. Arriving home, Maria's children rushed to see what their mother carried in her arms. Despite the initial surprise, their looks of curiosity quickly turned into welcoming smiles. Maria explained that they had found a new member for the family and that everyone would need to come together to take care of him. The children, though young, understood the gravity of the situation and readily agreed to help. In the following days, Maria's home was filled with new energy. The older children took on small tasks to help their mother, while she dedicated herself to caring for the baby, whom they named João. With each passing day, Maria grew more attached to little João, and he began to bring new joy to the home, at least partially dispelling the shadows of the financial difficulties the family faced. Maria knew that the path ahead would be arduous, but the decision to adopt João brought new hope to her life and that of her children. They learned together the true meaning of family, not just as a bond of blood, but as a choice of love and solidarity. João, the abandoned baby, now had a home and a family that loved him, and this was just the beginning of a long journey of overcoming and love. The early years with João and Maria's family were a mix of challenges and moments of deep connection. When Maria brought João home, she knew she would have to adjust the already tight family routine even further. The nights became longer, as João, like any baby, needed constant attention, frequent feeding, and many sleepless nights. Maria's children, still young, showed a great sense of responsibility. Anna, the eldest, helped her mother by taking care of the younger siblings and taking on household chores that were not previously assigned to her. Pedro, with his protective spirit, kept João under his watch, ensuring that he was always safe as he explored the small space they called home. Although Maria had to juggle her multiple roles, she found a way to ensure that João received the love and care he needed. She sewed clothes for the baby from scraps of fabric she could get, and often sacrificed her own needs to ensure that João had food and clothing. Despite the difficulties, the laughter and joy that João brought to the home were invaluable. João quickly became the star of the family. His first steps and words were celebrated with enthusiasm, and each little achievement was a cause of great joy for everyone. João's presence brought a new dynamic to the family, and in turn, he absorbed the love and protection offered to him through surrounding community, which initially viewed Maria's decision to adopt another child with skepticism, began to see the situation with different eyes. They admired Maria's strength and resilience, and many began to offer help whenever they could, whether with food, clothing, or moral support. The solidarity of the neighbors helped to alleviate some of the burden Maria carried. Maria also made sure that João had moments of genuine childhood. Simple playtime in the backyard, bedtime stories, and improvised birthday parties with what they could afford were part of the effort to provide João with a happy and normal childhood, despite the difficulties. Over time, Maria's family became an example of unity and love in the community. João, who had arrived at that house as an abandoned baby, was now a symbol of hope and resilience. The care and dedication of Maria and her children during João's early years created unbreakable bonds that would sustain the family in the decades to come. During his teenage years, João became even more determined. He knew that the path to a better future lay through education and hard work. He spent hours in the public library, immersed in books, always seeking to learn something new. In addition, he got involved in extracurricular projects, showing leadership and problem-solving abilities, which further impressed his teachers and peers. Meanwhile, at home, João continued to be a source of joy and pride for his family. He helped his younger siblings with their homework, sharing his love for learning and inspiring them to follow in his footsteps. The lessons of sacrifice and resilience taught by Maria were deeply rooted in him, and João made it a point to give back the support and love he had always received. As the years passed, João began to dream big. He wanted to create something that could not only change his life, but also positively impact the community that had supported him so much. It was during this time that he developed a growing interest in technology. He spent sleepless nights studying programming and software development, determined to build something innovative. João's passion for technology culminated in the creation of a startup. Still in his final years of college, working tirelessly, he managed to attract the attention of investors, and his company quickly began to gain traction. The dedication and effort were finally bearing fruit, and João began to envision a promising future not only for himself, but for his entire family. By the age of 20, João had transformed into a brilliant and successful young man. His growth, shaped by the unconditional love and sacrifices of Maria, resulted in a person determined to give back everything he had received. Despite his success, João never forgot his humble origins and the struggle his mother faced to raise him and his siblings. He knew that the greatest triumph of his life would be ensuring that Maria, the woman who welcomed him and gave him a family, received the recognition and happiness she so deserved. Now, with the possibility of providing a better future for his family, João was ready to make a decision that would change their lives forever. As Maria aged, life's challenges became more pronounced. Her once strong and nimble hands now trembled slightly, and her legs, which had carried her through countless laborious journeys, began to falter. Her biological children, now adults, faced their own difficulties. Although they deeply loved their mother, many found themselves overwhelmed by life's demands and unable to provide the support Maria needed. Pedro, the second eldest son, made the difficult decision. Despite his best intentions, he believed Maria would be better cared for in a nursing home where she could receive constant medical attention and companionship. The decision was not easy and caused great internal conflict. Pedro vividly remembered his mother's sacrifices and the love she always showed, but he was convinced this was the best solution. With a heavy heart, Pedro explained the decision to his siblings. There was resistance and many tears. Maria, always the strong matriarch, tried to console her children, affirming that she would be fine and that she understood their decision. She knew Pedro was acting with what he believed to be her best interests, even if it meant a painful separation from the family she had fought so hard to keep together. The move to the nursing home was a moment of great sadness for Maria. The environment, though comfortable and safe, was a constant reminder of the distance from her children. She spent her days reminiscing about the times when the house was filled with laughter and noise, and her nights were filled with a silent longing. Meanwhile, João, who had lost touch with the family due to his commitments to the startup and building his own life, learned about his mother's situation through a call from Anna. The news deeply shook João. He remembered the sacrifices Maria made to raise him and the unconditional love she always gave him. He felt guilty for having drifted away and was determined to rectify this situation. João immediately took time out from his busy schedule to visit Maria. Upon entering the nursing home, he saw his mother sitting in a chair near the window, staring at the horizon with a look of melancholy. The reunion was emotional. Maria, upon seeing João, smiled with a mix of joy and relief, and the two embraced for a long time without needing to say anything. It was determined at that moment that he would not allow Maria to spend her last years away from the family and the love she always provided. João knew he had the means and capability to offer Maria a dignified and comfortable life, as she deserved. He decided that his mother would return to live with him, in his home, where she could enjoy the company of her grandchildren and the affection she had so generously given all her life. The day João decided to rescue Maria from the nursing home was marked by a mix of emotions. He arrived at the place determined, accompanied by Laura and Lucas, all eager to take Maria home. When she saw them entering through the door, her face lit up with a radiant smile. Tears of joy flowed freely as she embraced João, feeling finally safe and loved. Back at João's house, Maria was welcomed with a warm reception. The house was decorated with flowers and a special meal had been prepared in her honor. João's siblings were present, and the family reunion was filled with laughter and shared stories. For Maria, it was a moment of pure happiness, seeing all her children together and thriving. In the days that followed, João made sure that Maria felt comfortable and well cared for. He hired a team of caregivers to assist her with her daily needs, but also made sure to spend quality time with her. The mornings were dedicated to long conversations in the garden, where Maria shared stories from the past, and João talked about his achievements and future plans. Maria's presence brought a new dynamic to the house. Lucas loved spending time with his grandmother, listening to her stories and learning from her wisdom. Laura dedicated herself to creating a welcoming environment for Maria, decorating her room with family photos and mementos of happy times. The house was full of life and joy, a true haven of love and gratitude. João also organized a special ceremony to publicly honor Maria. He invited friends, family, and colleagues to a celebration where he shared the story of Maria and her profound impact on his life. During the event, João gave an emotional speech, expressing his eternal gratitude for Maria's sacrifices and unconditional love. He highlighted how she not only transformed his life, but also inspired everyone around her with her strength and resilience. The ceremony was an emotional tribute. Maria was presented with a frame containing a collage of photos of special moments, symbolizing the memories and family bonds they built together. The guests gave a standing ovation, many with tears in their eyes, recognizing Maria's fundamental role in forming a united and loving family. Over time, Maria's health began to improve. Surrounded by the love of her family and with the necessary care, she found new vitality. Frequent visits from friends and neighbors became moments of celebration and joy, and Maria became a central figure in the community, admired for her story of love and sacrifice. In the last years of her life, Maria experienced serene and full happiness. She saw her grandchildren grow, her children prosper, and felt the deep recognition of all those she loved. João made sure she knew every day that her sacrifices were rewarded and that her love was the foundation on which he built his life. Maria passed away in peace, knowing that her legacy of love and strength would continue to inspire her family and everyone around her for many generations. Thus, the journey of Maria and João teaches us the true power of love and dedication. It is a story that shows how sacrifice and generosity can transform lives and create enduring legacies. If you were moved and enjoyed this story as much as we did, don't forget to leave your like and share your thoughts in the comments. We want to know what you think, and to continue receiving more moving and inspiring stories, subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell. This helps us a lot to keep bringing content that warms the heart. Thank you for joining us this far. Until next time.